Game 3 is underway. 2,000 atmospheres to finish off what has been a pretty damn cool best of 3 so far. We'll see what this map has in store for us. On the top right, it is solar. Bottom left, uThermal. This time around, no SCVs being sent out early. No T-Rex. Could still be a lot of other options for the Terran player, more so than the Zerg. I know that Solar did eventually go for a very underwhelming Ling Roach Tack last game, and so they do have all-in options. We all kind of admit at this point that the Terran has more. They have more variety in their build orders. The Zerg is far more about reacting, not just as a race design. That's been what it's... the stereotype since 2010. You know, you're a Zerg, react. It's also just a... Hold on here. It's also just... You know what? I lost my train of thought a little bit. Not gonna lie. I'm thinking about that last game too much. But it's uThermal on top of, I guess, all the variety that a Terran already has. So, what I was gonna say is that not only is the race of Zerg just supposed to react to things, it also just straight up, some of its all-ins have been depleted. They've been less than stellar. They were pretty okay. They were pretty stellar even in Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm. They were still good, especially before we had Tank Siege be a default upgrade, if you guys remember that. A lot of you probably don't. You weren't around for it. But nowadays, there's a lot more options for the Terran to properly defend, so it really feels like the Zerg all-ins have just been cut down a notch. Where the Terrans, you don't have to all-in. You still have so many options. You have plenty of variations of Hellbat attacks. You have battlecruiser openers coming back a little bit, so 1 or 3 battlecruisers, bio or mech, right? Then you have actual barracks build orders. You have 2-1-1s, 3 racks, even a 4 racks all in. Obviously, the proxies come into effect too. It's not just a proxy 2 racks, proxy 3 racks, proxy starport. And the Zerg just not as plentiful. It's like, okay, Lings or Roaches. Okay, cool. Mutas? Maybe not nowadays. Not so much nowadays. And then maybe like Lurkers. You're like, okay, cool. And then you get into very, very macro-oriented things. So Ultras versus Lurkers and Broodlords, sure. But for the start, the Zerg player is just trying to squeeze in as many drones as possible. You tell a Zerg player, go ahead and pull first Roach all in, and Bly will eagerly accept the challenge. Most other Zerg players are gonna be like, you know what? Only because it is so rare, the Terran won't expect me to do it. So, you know, Sterile throws it out a couple of times, but not often. So we always look towards the Terran player and what they're going to do, and specifically uThermal, which is the point that I was going to get into. But specifically uThermal, he has a ton of builds, and some of them of his own creation. This time around, it is just a 1-1-1, 2 gases, no fast, 3rd CC. We'll see if this... Well, it can't swap over. That's a... Well, it is... Wait, hold on. He is gonna swap it. That's a reactor, not a tech lab. I got like double bamboozled. Huh. Double medevac? No, then you can't afford the armory. Double Viking. Well, at least you guys know that I kind of know what I'm talking about when I don't lose my train of thought anyways. uThermal has some weird builds. He's got some wacky ideas. I don't know what this is gonna really do for him, but Solar, I'd say it's unfortunate for uThermal to be scouted right now. Solar scouts it, and he's gonna be like, what the hell? I don't know what that is. Why is there a reactor on a starport this early? So it's almost, I feel like in a way, uThermal wants the Zerg to scout this, as long as this is new anyways. You know, if Solar's seen this before, then uThermal might be screwed. But if it's new, uThermal might just kind of be like, you know what? This is going to confuse you. You're not even going to know. But you know what else is happening? Well, I was focusing on this weird Viking play. Solar is going for a mid-game all-in again. He's going for Ling Roaches this time. No early game damage, no 2 racks defense that went wrong, no Hellion defense that went wrong. He is just going into a powerful Hellion, Roach Ling all-in. And the Hellions might see this in time to defend. It's already bad news for uThermal. The Hellbat push that did end up being, so okay, all right. With Vikings though, is already countered. There's Lings and Roaches, and not only is it countered, it's gonna have a very hard time defending back at home. I do actually get the Vikings though, and I'll explain it maybe after we watch this game potentially. And I do love this from uThermal. He realizes he needs to buy more time. And this is probably the best opportunity for him to buy time and take a decent fight on this bridge right here. But okay, I thought he was buying time for something a little more important than Hellions and Vikings. Not only that, oh no, Lings get in to start this off. I don't think uThermal realized they had run past him to truly run past him. Probably thought they were gonna go for a surround. 3 SCVs go down. That's not problematic, but back to my original oh no point. I thought he was buying time to get into tanks, to get into Marauders, to build a bunker. Not that he had anything to put in it. But no, he just kept building Vikings and Hellbats and thought maybe just enough units will do the trick. Well, it might have versus Mass Ling. I don't think it's the same versus Roach Ravager. I do not blame uThermal at all for this, though. The likelihood of the Zerg doing back-to-back all-ins or an all-in to begin with is the entire blurb I had in the first 3 minutes of the game. It's just unlikely. It's usually the Terran dictating the pace, choosing the build, doing the weird things. So Solar doing a great job, really throwing a wrench into uThermal's best of 3 plan, right? Also, didn't have to care necessarily about what he scouted. I have no idea what Solar thought it was going to be based off his scout, but he chose a build that didn't care. But before I tap out of this best of 3, I do want to explain the Vikings. To an extent. I don't know if I can truly explain them. I don't know if this is actually going to be a thing we see other Terrans do. But if we can think about any time you've seen Vikings against Lings, I know it's not that common, but if you can think about it, they're not too bad. They're not too bad, especially if they're not surrounded is the thing. And you can also think about what they're like versus Viking or Queens, the Vikings versus Queen dynamic. They're not that bad. They're certainly more dependable than the Hellbats, which don't do a lot of damage unless the Queens are clumped up. And they also don't have a lot of range, but the Vikings have a decent range. They're almost like adding Marines, but chonkier Marines. So I get it. I do. I think that works surprisingly well against, again, someone who has no idea what reactor on starport means or doesn't get a scout and also is going Ling Queen defense. It's a very odd build. uThermal probably does it once every month or something. Maybe on the ladder, he gets a lot of victories with it because it's just it would absolutely take advantage of someone who has not played against it before, who doesn't know who they're facing too if he's playing on a barcode. But it doesn't do too well against the Ling Roach all-in. So that was a fun last game, even though it was far more abrupt and a whole lot of back and forth. uThermal kind of got build countered. Yeah. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. Solar took this series 2-1 and went on to, I assume, many more victories in the Warty TV tournament that I get this from. But that does it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you for another best of in the future.